I was the bride, dressed in lace and satin. My new mother-in-law placed the cake knife down. She announced loudly, "You are always second best here." Vineyard lights crossed shocked faces. They expected me to break. I refused. I straightened my veil. I let the silence hang. I replied, "Maybe second best for you. You don't know what my mother gave me. This changes everything you control." Tables murmured disbelief. They saw me as Julian's quiet nurse. They misunderstood. Proof was hidden in my bouquet. It would shatter the entire Fleming family structure. My name Audrey Vance. Age 29. Nurse in Seattle, Washington. Most shifts meant fluorescent lights. Shoes squeaking on linoleum. My mind focused only on the next patient, exhausted. Debt was constant. Student loans, auto repairs, credit cards I kept deferring. Julian, my husband, belonged elsewhere. The Flemings owned Walla Walla Valley Vineyards. Their name-branded labels sponsored charity galas. Visiting their estate. The air smelled of oak, smelled of money. Ancestor portraits judged me, questioned my right to be there. His mother, Victoria, offered polite smiles. Her eyes treated me like furniture. Julian's nurse, she told guests. Never Audrey. She compared me to Serena Maxwell, banker's daughter. Julian dated Serena previously. Educated, polished, wealthy. Victoria swirled wine at dinners. She asked, "Heard from Serena recently?" Julian would cough. I sat still, hiding the pain. Invisibility wasn't new. My older brother received new things. I got leftovers. His C grades. Parents said he is trying. My straight A's. They said, that is expected. They forgot me once at soccer practice. I sat alone on cold bleachers. I learned second early. Only Mom noticed me. She worked diner shifts, smelled of coffee and grease. But she always sat with me. One winter evening, she gave me a small wooden music box, carved with flowers. She whispered, "If they minimize you, remember this inside. It will protect you later." I did not understand then. I understand completely now. Years passed. Julian rushed into the ER with a collapsed coworker. Later, he insisted on coffee. He genuinely asked about my life. That night, I felt seen for the first time in years. He proposed. I believed love closed our distance. It did not. Engagement dinner. Victoria toasted the Fleming legacy, not us. She seated Serena beside Julian. Serena laughed at his jokes. I focused on my plate. Roasted salmon and lemon risotto tasted like ash. Wedding planning reinforced my position. Flemings chose vineyard, quartet caterer. I got crumbs, napkin shades, shoe style. I suggested a photographer. Victoria stated, "He lacks timelessness for our family." She pressed a prenup document. Called it routine. Julian claimed we didn't need it, but his eyes showed doubt. I worked double shifts for my share. Dress found on clearance. I altered it myself at midnight. Skipped lunch money for flowers. They financed their expenses via the family fund. That fund was unavailable to me. Thanksgiving. Victoria carved the bird. She praised Serena's thriving success. She is glowing. Guests managed awkward smiles. Julian squeezed my hand beneath the linen. His mother's voice still overwhelmed mine. Feeling erased, I touched the music box. It was hidden in my nightstand. Traced the carved petals. Sometimes I wound it. Heard the melody, soft haunting. Mom's reminder. They cannot erase you from your story. Finalizing the menu one night, I overheard Victoria's kitchen phone call. Serena was always the one. "This girl is temporary. Second best." She gave a brittle, cruel laugh. I stood gripping the dark hallway railing. I wanted to flee, abandon the family, the house, everything. But resolve solidified instead. I whispered, "Not this time, Victoria." That evening, I opened the box. First time since Mom's funeral. 3 trembling notes played. The lid quickly closed. I lacked readiness then. But I promised myself readiness would come. The weeks before the wedding were an exhausting blur. Every morning started in hospital halls. Every night ended with Victoria's demands about family expectations. The engagement party became theater of humiliation. Victoria invited Serena, Julian 6. called it a friendly gesture. Serena sat next to Julian at the family table. I was relegated to the far end, with strangers. Every toast circled back to the Fleming legacy. Julian found my knee under the table. I looked up. Victoria's smile confirmed. She knew I would not fight back. Bridal shower was equally unpleasant. Room smelled of peonies and bubbly wine. Laughter surrounded me. Guests brought lavish gifts, monogram towels, crystal frames. Then Victoria's turn. She presented a small box. Inside, a plain white apron. Embroidered words. Practice makes perfect. Polite laughter from the room. I smiled too. Swallowed the humiliation like spoiled wine. That night, I folded the apron neatly. Buried it deep under sweaters. I stared at the stitching until the word practice blurred. I started saving everything. Screenshots of messages. Receipts for my covered expenses. Emails where Victoria signed off decisions unilaterally, acting as if I did not exist. At work, I logged patient vitals. I whispered one mantra: stay calm. Observe. Wait. Then came the rehearsal dinner. The vineyard glowed amber under string lights. Guests filled long tables draped in ivory. I sat next to Julian, trying to fit in. Victoria, radiant in silver, controlled the room. Then Serena appeared. Pale silk dress. Her familiar laugh echoed. Serena, darling, sit here, Victoria instructed. She patted the seat next to her. Julian froze. He did nothing to stop it. My chest tightened immediately. The world subtly shifted. Dinner started. Victoria's voice dominated the noise. She praised Serena's speeches, her charity work, her elegance. My fork scraped the porcelain plate. I could not speak. The slideshow began. Photos of Julian's childhood, graduations, family trips. Then the screen stopped. A picture of Julian and Serena at a winter gala. Her arm linked through his. Laughter around us turned spiteful. Victoria clapped softly. Oh, what a memory, she cooed. Heat rose up my neck. I pushed my chair away. Excused myself quickly. Stepped onto the patio. The cold air hit my face hard. Inside, the laughter grew louder. I opened my clutch. Held the music box. Carved flowers reflected the moonlight. I didn't open it. I only needed to feel its presence. The door opened behind me. Nolan, Julian's cousin, came out. His expression was steady, serious. You don't deserve this treatment, he said quietly. I turned wary. What are you talking about? He hesitated, lowered his voice. I overheard things. Your mother-in-law's scheme. You must see something. I studied his face quickly. No pity, no superiority. Just truth. Why tell me? He answered. I am tired of this family pretending to be what they claim. Inside, I heard Victoria's smooth, toxic laugh again. I clenched my fist around the music box. The carved petals marked my palm. Lying awake next to Julian that night, I replayed it all. The apron. The slideshow. The laughter. A pattern was clear. Belittle me, erase me, replace me, repeat. But the ceiling faintly glowed from the moon. My mother's voice echoed through the music box melody in my head. When someone tries to make you feel small, remember what is inside. I did not know what waited beneath that small velvet lining. But I knew one thing for certain. I was finished being small. The wedding day dawned gray cold. Fog drifted over the Walla Walla hills. From the dressing room, I saw vine rows glistening with dew. Everything was perfect, controlled, typical Victoria. I put on my satin gown. Adjusted the veil. I tucked the music box deep into my bouquet. Its weight was small, but it felt like armor. By evening, the hall lights shimmered. Guests clinked glasses. Laughter rose toward the vaulted ceiling. Victoria floated among the tables. Jeweled dress, glowing with satisfaction. Julian smiled at me, but his eyes continually sought his mother. The cake arrived, wheeled forward. Chatter stopped. Victoria approached the cake, knife in hand. Her voice reached every corner. You'll always be second best in this family. A collective gasp cut the music short. Forks stopped midair. I met her gaze. My pulse was strangely steady. Second best for you, maybe, I replied. But you don't know what my mother left me. It will change everything. Murmurs spread instantly. Julian blinked, stunned. Victoria's smile vanished. I turned away, walked out through the guests, bouquet held tightly. In the bridal suite, I put down the flowers. I opened the music box. Inside, my mother's folded letter and an iron key taped beneath it. Her familiar writing calmed me. If you read this, you face people who wish to erase you. Remember this. Your place here was purchased long before they decided you didn't belong. Attached was documentation. Proof of her investment in the vineyard, made years ago with Julian's late father. Proof I now owned part of their legacy. I returned to the hall. Nolan waited near the projector. Our eyes connected. He gave a small nod. The lights faded. The wedding slideshow changed. A recording began to play. Victoria's voice, crisp, undeniable. She will never be one of us. The prenup will cut her out. Serena was always the right choice. The room gasped widely. Julian's jaw tightened instantly. Victoria stood frozen, color draining away. That was taken out of context, she stammered loudly. No, Nolan stated evenly. That is exactly what you said. I lifted the music box. The letter visible in my other hand. My mother saw through this long before I did, I announced. She left me her shares in this vineyard. I am not second best. I am part of this place, whether you like it or not. The hall erupted in shocked disbelief. Victoria tried to speak. Her own voice still echoed from the speakers, destroying her composure. Julian looked between us, realization finally dawning. I stepped down from the platform. My bouquet brushed my gown. This story, I whispered internally, is no longer yours to write. For the first time all night, the ensuing silence felt like true freedom. The next morning, the vineyard was quiet. Only rain tapped against the glass. It washed away the gossip and glitter. Julian slept beside me. I could not sleep. I sat on the bed edge, the music box in my lap. My mother's words repeated. You are not small. By noon, I drove back to Seattle. Fog curled low on the highway. I stopped at a downtown bank, handed the iron key to a clerk, followed him to the safety deposit vault. The box contained neatly stacked papers, ownership documents, signed contracts, proof my mother had invested in the Fleming vineyard decades ago. Her handwriting marked the margins, clear and purposeful. That afternoon, I met a lawyer. She skimmed the papers, looked up at me. These documents are legitimate, she confirmed. They grant you legal stake and significant leverage. I finally exhaled without trembling. Within 1 week, I left the Fleming estate, moved into a small apartment above a downtown cafe. It smelled of espresso and rain. It was entirely mine. The music box sat on the nightstand. Its melody softened the city's constant hum outside. Then Victoria's retaliation started. Voicemails laced with false concern. Long emails dripping with emotional guilt. You are destroying this family, she wrote. Julian doesn't deserve this public embarrassment. I forwarded every message to my lawyer. News traveled faster than she could control. The board of her charity heard the wedding recording. Sponsors began withdrawing funding. Victoria Fleming, the matriarch demanding perfection, was suddenly a scandal. Julian appeared at my door one rainy evening. Shoulders slumped, tie loose. I didn't know, he whispered. Not about the prenup. Not about Serena. I should have stopped her. I nodded calmly. You knew enough to remain silent. He did not argue. I will fix this. I will cut her off if required. I met his gaze. Then start by establishing your own name, separate from hers. Nolan texted me updates over the next weeks. Victoria resigned from her charity roles. She lost her board position. Relatives began keeping distance. The Flemings' polished reputation cracked wide open. Through everything, I continued working. Night shifts kept me grounded. Holding a patient's hand, monitoring beeps. This reminded me of genuine life. Messy, fragile, honest. Gossip about me sometimes reached the hospital. Schemer, gold digger, liar. I never responded. My lawyer sent letters when needed. Silence handled the rest effectively. By early spring, Julian moved into a small rental near my building. He sent me scanned documents. They showed he revoked his mother's control over his finances. It wasn't an apology. It felt like a start. One weekend, I drove to the Whitman house. The small house Mom purchased years ago. Paint was peeling, garden overgrown, but sunlight streamed through windows. It felt like forgiveness. I wound the music box, placed it on the mantel. Its melody echoed in the empty rooms, delicate, unwavering. I hung a spare key by the door. For years, the space around me felt heavy. Now it felt light, unclaimed, finally mine. Spring arrived softly in Seattle. Air smelled like wet grass and coffee. Sunlight reached my kitchen window daily. I woke early, poured coffee, listened to the city wake up below. Chaos remained, bills, work fatigue. But the noise inside me had quieted. The Whitman house renovations finished. I repainted the walls myself, planted lavender outside, let the wind carry the scent through open windows. No vineyard, no ancestor portraites, no scrutini. Just space that belonged only to me. One Saturday, Julian visited with an envelope. He looked older, humbled. Inside were signed papers, proof he had severed every financial bond to Victoria. He dissolved the trust she had created for him. I don't know if we can repair us, I said softly. He shook his head. Maybe not. But you showed me what standing up looks like. I had to begin somewhere. I poured coffee for us both. We sat in silence. Not enemies. Not quite lovers. Just two people letting go gently. That evening, I opened the music box again. The tune filled the room. It sounded different now. Not a reminder of old pain, but of new strength. I slipped a folded note inside, written by my hand. Don't let anyone tell you you're small. Don't let them make you second best. Walk away if you must. You will be fine. I closed the lid. Let the melody finish. Watched the last light fade across the wooden floor. For years, I associated family with belonging. Now I understand it requires respect. When that respect is gone, you have the right to leave. So, if you were ever told you don't belong in your own narrative, ask yourself, would you stay silent? Or would you stand up and choose your own path? Share your thoughts below. Have you ever needed to leave your own family to secure your peace? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay for more family revenge stories that prove silence can be the sharpest weapon.